Good evening everyone. Welcome to Abhiram Ias Academy. This is Pavani Reddy Palla. I am here to discuss the Daily Chronicles series. Okay. So let us discuss all the important articles in the Hindu newspaper today. Okay. So in the front page we have one important article which says the India and Qatar relationship. So this topic is important for us in the international relations. Okay. So it is important for us in the prelims and mains point of view. Okay. So first of all, why Qatar is important to India? Qatar is important to India because of our energy security purpose. Okay. So what is the capital of Qatar? It is Doha. And the currency of Qatar is Riyal. Okay. So now let us go into the details of the article. So what this article says, the headlines says India and Qatar elevate ties to strategic partnership. Okay. So first of all we have to know the meaning of the phrase strategic partnership. So strategic partnership is between two nations where they share the common interest and also support each other in resources, in rewards, risk, etc. So if any two countries are having a common shared interest, goals, targets, or also they will be sharing the resources, rewards, risk, etc., then those two nations are said to have a strategic partnership. So what is the agenda of the Qatar leader, that is the Emir of Qatar? Emir means what? Emir is nothing but the title given to the Arab rulers. So Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Ahmed Al Thani. So he visited India. So this is a photo which shows us the two leaders of the nation are being met in New Delhi yesterday. Okay. So what will be the agenda? So they have discussed about the possibility of bilateral free trade agreement. So this will be the number one agenda. Number two is the West Asian developments, and number three they have a signature on the agreement of the double taxation avoidance pact, and also they have discussions on the trade and security. Okay, so coming to the bilateral free trade agreement, what is it? So bilateral free trade agreement will be a agreement, so it is signed between two nations for the purpose or objective is to reduce or eliminate the trade barriers in between those two nations. Okay, so that will be the free trade agreement. So we have free trade agreement with Australia, with US, etc. So with all important countries we have this free trade agreement. Okay, so Qatar and India soon going to have this bilateral free trade agreement. So thereby any tariffs means the duties imposed on import of goods, so they will be either reduced or eliminated completely. Thereby there can be increase in the trade. Okay, so that is one important agenda. Number two, we have discussions related to the West Asia. So what is that? We know from long time there is Israel-Palestine conflict in the Gaza Strip. So they have discussions related to the West Asian development. And also number three, there is a agreement signed by both the countries related to double taxation avoidance pact. What is this double taxation avoidance pact? It is nothing but, let us study by a example. Okay, so example, this person X is a resident of India. So he is going to Qatar and establishing a business. So there he earns some profit, right? So here on those profits, if Qatar is imposing tax, and also when he gets back the money to his own country, India is also imposing tax. So here let's say 15% of tax, and again here 15% of tax. So on this profit of 100 rupees example, so he is paying 30 rupees of the tax. So tax is being imposed in Qatar as well as India. So thereby he is demotivated to establish such type of businesses in the other countries or do investments in the other countries. That is called as the double taxation. Next important one in the agenda is to deepen the trade and security between India and Qatar. So here the double bilateral trade to be increased to $28 billion. So this is the target kept by these countries. Okay, so the other important things which were discussed is related to Purnendu Tiwari, an ex-Indian Navy commander who is in the Qatari custody. So release of the ex-Navy employee was also discussed in the agenda. Okay, and also there is one important topic which is related to the India and GCC. So what is GCC? It is nothing but Gulf Cooperation Council. Okay, so GCC is nothing but Gulf Cooperation Council. So there are a total number of countries is 6. So what is GCC? It is a regional political and economic grouping. Around the Persian Gulf. So what is a Gulf? So it is a deep inlet into a sea, okay, where the mouth is elongated. So here we can see the Persian Gulf and the regional grouping with the countries. We have Oman, UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain and Kuwait. So these are the 6 countries, okay, Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait, Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia. Okay, where is the headquarters of the GCC? It is in the Saudi Arabia's capital, Riyadh. So why is this grouping very important for India? Because of the energy security purpose. These grouping is primarily very rich in the oil and natural gas resources. So there have been discussions with the Emir of Qatar that GCC and India should have a free trade agreement. Free trade agreements means what is it? Between the GCC and India, there should be less or no tariffs imposed on the traded goods. So that is the discussions which has been brought by India with the Qatar leader. Okay, so this is important grouping, especially for the prelims point of view, because in the question we might get which among the following countries are present in the GCC, or what is which type of grouping is it? Is it a political grouping or a economic grouping? What is it? So we have to remember all these important facts. So the headquarters is in the Riyadh. That is also important point we have to remember. Okay, so you can just remember these by BOKQUS: Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait, Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia. Okay, so these are some important facts. Let us go to the next article. So next article is related to the US and Russia talks. Okay, so the top level officials belonging to Russia and US have been talking about 2 important objectives. Number 1 is the complex and complicated relationship of the US and Russia, and number 2 is to end the Russian-Ukrainian war. Okay, so to find a settlement for this issue as of now, positive way. So this was given in the front page in the Hindu newspaper. Okay, so when did this war start? So it has started on February 24, 2022. So it's been almost 3 years, which is very important for our international relations. So in the editorial column we have one important topic that is related to the Chief Election Commissioner selection process. Okay. So yesterday also we had a brief discussion on this issue. So what does this editorial tells us? So this editorial is telling about the case which has been challenged in the Supreme Court. Okay. So the Supreme Court need to deliver judgment on this case at a faster level. That was the editor talking about. So what is this case? Which case has been challenged in the Supreme Court? Let us see the details. So in March 2023, there has been a Supreme Court judgment in the Anup Baranwal versus Union of India case. Okay, so in this case the Supreme Court has delivered a judgment saying that there should be a committee for selection of the CEC or other ECs. Okay, so for the selection we need to have a committee which should include the Prime Minister, the leader of opposition party, and the Chief Justice of India. So this was the judgment given by the Supreme Court related to the appointments of the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners. So in December 2023, the Union government has drafted a legislation related to the appointments of the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners. But the main controversy lies here. So the committee which is meant for appointing or selecting the Chief Election Commissioners includes the PM, the Prime Minister, the leader of opposition party, and the Union Cabinet Minister. Okay. So there is a difference in the committee members. So as per the Supreme Court judgment, there should be CJI, Chief Justice of India, right? So Supreme Court Chief Justice is there, but here we have the Union Cabinet Minister. Okay, so what is happening here? Here in this committee we are having executive control on the selection process of the election commissioners. Okay, see why election commission is important, because India being a democratic country, it is very prime or very critical to conduct elections in a free and fair manner. Okay, so the election commission which is assigned the duty of such importance, the persons should not have any executive control on them. Okay, so if these two people are selecting the election commissioners, then they may show a biased nature. So that is the controversy relating to this one. Okay, so what the government tells in the Supreme Court, the government is telling that this should be the committee, but this should be the ad hoc committee which is set by the Supreme Court. Okay, so until the drafting of a permanent legislation like this, in which came in the 2023, there should be an ad hoc committee consisting of these three people. But in December 2023, we have drafted a legislation. So based on that legislation only, we are going to appoint the members. So that is the controversy which is going on. So hopefully Supreme Court will deliver the justice at a faster rate so that we can get a conclusion on this important news. So please do follow all the updates on this topic. Okay, next important article we have related to the federalism with the title Eroding Federalism. What is meant by federalism? So federalism is nothing but the division of powers between the center and state. Okay, so in the 7th schedule of the Indian Constitution, we have three different types of list. One is the union list, one is the state list, and the other one is the concurrent list. And the subjects which are not included in these three are the residuary powers to the center. So any subject which is not there in these three lists is given power to the center to make laws on those subjects. So all the subjects which are enlisted in the union list, the center is having the power to make legislations or to give any governmental orders on those subjects, and the subjects enlisted in the state list, the state government is having power, supreme control over those topics. But the subjects in the concurrent list, here the center and the state both can make their laws. Okay, so what this article tells about is related to education. So education is a topic in the concurrent list. Okay, so where center can make laws and also states can make laws. So what is the issue now? So the issue is that the central government has paused the funds which have to be given to the Tamil Nadu government for the education purpose. Okay, so why the funds have been paused or stopped as of now? Because the Tamil Nadu government did not introduce the National Education Policy 2020. Okay, so for rejecting this policy, the Tamil Nadu government have been not provided with the funds which are related to the education. So thereby again affecting many other education related schemes. So what exactly is the issue? One is related to the rejection of the National Education Policy 2020, and also one important provision of the National Education Policy, that is related to the 3-language policy. So the 3-language policy is being introduced in the National Education Policy 2020, but Tamil Nadu is completely against it. Tamil Nadu always propagates the 2-language policy even before from the independence till now. They generally advocate strongly and firmly regarding the 2-language policy. So first of all, let us go into the details about the National Education Policy 2020, which is very important topic for our exam preparation. So important facts about the new Education Policy 2020. Okay, it replaces the previous National Policy on Education NPE, which came into force in 1986. So after almost around 20-25 years, this policy came into force in India. So this policy is being drafted by the committee under Dr. K. Kasturi Rangan. So who constituted this committee? Ministry of Education. So Ministry of Education constituted Dr. K. Kasturi Rangan committee, which in turn formulated the New Education Policy 2020. Okay, so what are the sectors or arenas covered in this policy? We have the schools, we have the higher education, including technical education, which are suited for the 21st century needs. So what are 21st century needs? Basically it is the digital era. So all the courses related to the technical literacy are being introduced in this New Education Policy 2020. Okay. So what are the 5 important foundational pillars of this policy? So we have access to everyone, equity, quality of education, affordability and accountability. Okay, so based on these principles, the new education policy have been formulated. Okay, so this policy is aligned with the sustainable development goals, which need to be fulfilled by 2030. So within 5 years, we need to achieve 17 different goals of the sustainable development. One among it is the quality education, which is sustainable development goal number 4. Okay, so to achieve the principle or the goal of this quality education, we have brought this policy in align with it. Next, what are the targets of the new education policy? See, please try to remember these things by heart, because we may get questions in the prelims, or we can use this information in the mains, in the question and in the answer writing, as well as in the essay, general essay. Okay. So, what are the targets? So, universalization of the education. So, this is very important phrase. You should never miss while writing a essay or answer regarding the new education policy, or for that matter relating to education. Okay. So, universalization of education from early childhood care to the secondary education by 2030 with relation to the SDG 4. From the early childhood care, okay, to the higher education, everything should be universalized. Okay, every student, every child should be able to get access, should be able to afford to the quality schooling. So that is the one important target of the new education policy. Next, attaining foundational learning and numerical skills. So numerical skills through national mission by 2025. So by the end of this year, we need to have basic arithmetic skills and learning skills. So that is also one important target in new education policy 2020. Next, 100% gross enrollment ratio in preschool to secondary level by 2030. So from preschool, that is Anganwadi level, to the secondary level till the inter 11th 12th. So we should have the gross enrollment ratio of 100%. So 100% enrollment and 100% attendance. Next, 50% of gross enrollment ratio in the higher education by 2035. So by 2035, that is 10 years from now, we should have at least half of the youth should be enrolled in the higher education. Okay, so that is the college and university level education. Next, bring back 2 crore children to the mainstream through open schooling system. So we all know open schooling system. So at least we have to bring the 2 crore children into the open schooling system. Next, teachers to be prepared for assessment reforms by 2023. Okay, so schooling is, education is not just related to the children, but also teachers play the critical role in the quality education. So even teachers are having different type of training programs for in this new education policy 2020. Okay, and next, inclusive and equitable education system by 2030. Inclusive means what? So every child, irrespective of their caste, community, their economic status, everyone should be included, as well as the quality of education should be provided to every child. That is the basic goal of the new education policy 2020. Next, some important provisions which you need to remember are the universal access to all the levels of the school. So from preschool to secondary. So preschool we have Anganwadi service to secondary. So from there to the inter level, everything should be have universal access. Early childhood care and education with new curriculum and pedagogical structure. So what is the new structure which is introduced in the new education policy 2020? So we have 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. Earlier, which was 10 plus 2. So this is till 10th and this is 11th and 12th. But now it is replaced by 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. So what is this structure? So this structure primarily tells this is the 5 years of preparation, that is includes the preschool plus class 1 and 2. Okay, so this stage is called as the foundational stage. This is the foundational stage, and next level includes class 3, 4, 5, which is called as the preparatory state. Preparatory stage. And next we have 6, 7, 8, which is called as middle stage. And again we have 9, 10, 11th and 12th, which is called as the secondary stage. Okay, So this is the famous 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. This has been asked in multiple examinations. This structure, this curriculum structure has been asked in many multiple exams. So please try to remember this structure. Okay, so here from the preschool to the higher education, secondary education, everything is being neatly structured into in the new curriculum structure. So these are the important facts you need to remember about the new education policy. So now coming back to the controversy, in the new education policy, there is the 3-language policy which need to be implemented. But in Tamil Nadu, from historically, there is the implementation of 2-language policy. So because of this dispute between the Tamil Nadu government and the central government, there is a passage of the funds which need to be given to the Tamil Nadu government for running different types of education related schemes. So if the central government is stopping the funds, then it is eroding the federal structure of India. Thereby erosion of federalism is happening between the state governments. So this was the editor talking about. Next important article is related to environment topic. Okay, so with the headlines, India prepares to submit updated greenhouse gas inventory to UN. So this article is primarily related to the Paris Agreement 2000. Since this topic is very important, even the same question has been asked in TGPSC Group 1 examination in the October. Okay, so let us study about this topic in brief. Okay, so coming to the background, in 1991 we had one important summit, that is the Rio Earth Summit. As the output of this summit, in 1992 we have an international treaty related to United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Primarily it is related to battle against the climate change. Okay, so to reduce the greenhouse gases and to prevent further global warming, this has been signed, international treaty in 1992, which came into force in 21st March 1994. Okay, so this UNFCCC will conduct a conference every year which is called as Conference of Parties. Conference of Parties. So Conference of Parties 1 so on till COP 29. So COP 29, that is last year in November 2024, which happened in Azerbaijan, in Baku. Okay, so the two major agreements in this COP meetings are so among all the COP meetings, Conference of Parties, two main agreements have been drafted. Number one is the Kyoto Protocol. Number two is the Paris Agreement. So Kyoto Protocol was signed in 1997. So according to the Kyoto Protocol, all the developed nations has to reduce the emissions of greenhouse gases, which is a mandatory. Okay, so all the developing nations mandatorily should reduce the greenhouse gases. So this is number one, and number two is the Paris Agreement, which is signed in 2015. Okay, so in COP 21, so Conference of Party 21st meeting, this agreement has been signed. So which primarily aims to reduce the earth surface temperature ideally by 1.5 degrees Celsius or at least 2 degrees Celsius to the pre-industrial levels. Okay, So for example, you to remember, if the pre-industrial level, if the average temperature is around 12 degrees Celsius, then we need to maintain the average of at least 13.5 degrees Celsius or 14 degrees Celsius. So this is one important decision taken by the Paris Agreement. So who all signed? All the members have been the signatories of this Paris Agreement. There are almost 198 countries in the UNFCCC. Okay, so it is, so all these countries have signed to it. So based on this Paris Agreement, we have every nation who has been a signatory of Paris Agreement has to support the BTR. So what is BTR? BTR is Biannual Transparency Report. Okay, so biannual means twice in a year, 2 times in a year. So the BTR consists of the position of greenhouse gas emissions inventory. Inventory means all the information. Okay, so what are the key sectors, what are the sources of greenhouse gases, and also steps taken to improve energy efficiency as well as the transition to renewable sources. So all these different types of information will be given by the countries, signatory countries to the UNFCCC. Okay, so according to the article, the BTR consists of some important facts like India's share on emissions is around 4 to 5% of the global emissions. So in the entire global emissions, India's part is around just 4 to 5% of emissions. Right. Next important fact is the per capita terms, it is less than 1/3 of global per capita emissions. And now let us talk about the last article in the today's Hindu newspaper, that is the Center revamps websites, creates multilingual AI hub for better scheme outreach. So this is nothing but related to the AI technology implementation in the government websites. Okay, so Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has released a Digital Brand Identity Manual, DBIM. Okay, so which creates a standard design language. Okay, so based on the standard design language, the government websites will have multi-languages information. Okay, so that its outreach or so that its access to different sections of people will be made easy. Okay, so the government websites just not in English or Hindi but will be available in multiple languages by using the help of AI. Okay, so multilingual AI hub will help us in creating multiple languages information of the government websites. So other important initiatives as mentioned in the article related to the language and AI are the Digital India Bhashini. So it is a language translation platform, and we have Bharat Gen. So it is the world's first government funded multimodal large language model 2024. So it is a machine learning model which uses deep learning and generate human language. So with the help of deep learning, it will automatically generate the human languages, that is meant by LLM. So large language model. And we also have Sarvam 1 LLM. We also have Chitralekha, one source video transcreation platform. Okay, so in the prelims point of view, they may ask questions like what is meant by Chitralekha. So there will be 4 different options. You have to choose it as the one source video transcreation platform. And we also have multilingual AI Everest 1.0. So these are some important AI related innovations related to the language. So these are important for our prelims point of view, or we can write them in the technology answers. Okay, so that's all for today. Let us continue our class tomorrow. Thank you so much. Please like and subscribe to Abhiram Ias Academy.